tough terrain. The massive soda fire is more than 90% contained tonight, and now the attention turns to the long-term economic impact. And while Jake Melder explored the damage with local ranchers, he ran into Congressman Raul Labrador, who is also touring the devastation.
Desolate destruction in the wake of the largest fire Idaho has seen in years. As the smoke from the soda fire clears, residents begin to survey the damage.
The fire's been pretty devastating for the families that are involved, the ranchers involved.
More than 400 square miles of grazing land reduced to ash. Many ranchers have lost feed for the rest of the year. But the BLM also bans feeding for 2 years while grasses are reestablished.
Not only are they out the feed for these next 2.5 months, but how do you feed those livestock over the next couple of years?
Of course, that's only a problem if ranchers are able to find their missing herds. Complicating the search for lost cattle are fences that were ruined in the fire, allowing cows to cross over into open range and run freely for miles. But those who live off the land are a tough lot, and before the scorched fields grow cold, they're starting to rebuild. While filming the corral construction, an unannounced visit from Congressman Raul Labrador. He came to survey the soda fire's damage.
They've lost cattle, they've lost property, they're losing their grazing rights now for a long period of time. It's going to be just devastating for the community.
The congressman came to listen to ranchers, many of whom blamed the size of the fire on BLM grazing restrictions.
Perhaps the severity of this fire could have been minimized if we had some flexibility in federal land management policy.
While Labrador wouldn't lay blame for this fire, he acknowledges the need to re-examine policy.
You have to look at the grazing issue. It's one of the most important ones. We have to look at, how much cattle we can allow on the lands, and we should be able to allow more things.
Despite the devastation, ranchers have hope. They've received a lot of support and aid, both in money and feed for their cattle, which they are greatly appreciative of. If you'd like to find out more information on how to help, we'll have a link with this story on our website, IdahoOnYourSide.com. Live in studio, Jake Melder, 6 on Your Side.
More of the day's news in just a moment, but first, Adam Bierman is here with the On Your Side forecast. And Adam, I'm sure the question we're hearing is when will be clearing out?
It's probably going to be sticking around for a while. We really need a good storm to come blowing in after the fire has been put out to really get rid of the smoke. And unfortunately, we're in a pattern right now that's going to keep the status quo going. Let's take a look outside through our Ford Dealers Tower cam. It's a very hazy day, a little bit hazier than it was yesterday. That smoke pretty thick up in the sky. Let's take a look at our current conditions right now. 87 degrees, sunny and hazy, and we've got visibility down to about 5 miles now. So definitely a little bit worse than it was yesterday. Winds are blowing out of the west at 15 miles per hour as well. So a little breezy this afternoon. Those winds will subside as we head through the evening. Let's switch over now to our satellite pictures. We look across the Pacific Northwest. We are seeing that smoke everywhere. We've got fires burning in Washington, Oregon, and now we've got these fires in central Idaho. And that is where a lot of the smoke's starting to come from now. We're seeing this smoke drifting southward. And actually, the National Forest Service has a great model here that shows where that smoke is coming from. And you can see the point of origin coming from the fires. And then as we head overnight tonight, that thick plume of smoke expected to drift back into the valley. And it'll probably be pretty smelly with that morning inversion developing. So in any case, this is just experimental, but looks like things are going to be a little bit smokier as we head through the early morning hours. We'll talk about the forecast, what we can expect for the rest of the week straight ahead in my On Your Side forecast.
All that lingering smoke in the valley causing unhealthy air quality levels. In fact, yesterday, McCall spent most of the day in levels into the red. That's unhealthy for everybody. Boise, we are sitting in the orange level, which is unhealthy for those with sensitive lungs. The DEQ said that when the temperature drops at night, the cooler air forces the smoke to drop down into the valley, causing those unsafe levels. But there are some things you can do to help.
Impacts to air quality that people can lessen are obviously if you can reduce the amount of trips you take in your vehicle, carpool, use alternative transportation, avoid using lawn equipment, gas-powered lawn equipment in the afternoon during the hottest time. And then if you have any symptoms or if you notice any problems, we recommend people immediately call their healthcare providers for follow-up care so everything turns out all right for them.
And as you heard Adam say, the bad air will probably be sticking around at least until the end of the week.
Despite the air quality, people are still headed outdoors. Yep. Grab your boots, fasten your spurs, and relax in the shade of your 10-gallon hat.
You must be talking about the 81st annual Caldwell Night Rodeo that starts up tonight with Family Night. So we sent Lauren Johnson out there to just check it out with her cap on. How's the air, Lauren?
Exactly. So it is prepping for the Caldwell Nite Rodeo. I've got my hat on. I've got my shirt on right here. And I'm with Gene Betts, who is the executive secretary of the rodeo. And he says, tell me, are people going to be coming out with this air quality?
Well, I think they really are, because our web sales today have just been going wild, as well as all of our ticket outlets are calling in, and lots of ticket sales. Gates will be opening up in about an hour from now. So yeah, people-wise, I'm not worried about it. And tonight's a good night too. Tonight and tomorrow night's family night. Each paid adult can bring 4 children for free. So we're gonna have a good time.
Terrific. And so again, we are getting ready for that. We also talked to a veterinarian in charge of the horses. He said he's keeping a tight watch on those horses to make sure that they're doing healthy with this air quality. And tell me, who are the stars of this rodeo tonight?
In Caldwell, the Cowboys are the stars.
I love that, as they should be. Thank you so much, Gene. We'll send this back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks, Lauren. Tea Party supporters are hoping Idahoans will stand with Rand next week. Kentucky Senator and presidential candidate Rand Paul is making a couple of campaign stops in the Treasure Valley next Thursday. First, Paul speaks at Boise State in the morning. Later, he will meet supporters at the Nampa Civic Center. And then Paul is off to Idaho Falls as part of a 5 states in 5 days tour.
The Idaho National Guard is undergoing the largest mobilization since deployments to Iraq. That was back in 2005 and then again in 2011. And it's all to train with the elite. Reporter Lacey Darrow has the story.
More than 2,500 members of the Idaho National Guard are in Fort Irwin, California right now, all to train with other top forces at the National Training Center.
Well, this is the first time since the early 2000s that a National Guard unit has been invited to participate in this type of training at the National Training Center.
Units from Idaho will be going up against units from the other 10 states that were invited to the training, and it's all to get them used to going force on force.
Force on force training is heavy armor going up against heavy armor, tanks on tanks.
This will be the first opportunity for the Guard to exercise the full potential of their advanced equipment. And if they perform well, it could mean even better equipment in the future.
A good performance at the National Training Center can have a very positive impact on a National Guard unit with regard to funding or even equipment for future fielding.
The last time the brigade was invited, they had a stellar performance, and they hope to show others how it's done again this time around.
The last time the brigade participated at NTC, they really shattered a lot of the stereotypes about the National Guard with regard to their level of preparedness and readiness.
Temperatures at Fort Irwin have been well into the triple digits, and with all that protective armor on, it's even hotter. But they said that the environment is a very important factor in their training techniques.
One of the things that you seek for in training is to train as you fight. And as you know, we've found ourselves fighting in a lot of hot climates, so that makes the National Training Center a perfect place for this type of training.
Lacey Darrow, Idaho, on your side.
Coming up, with 17 Republicans running for president, there's talk about issues. Up next, why is one of the candidates dominating the conversation?
Well, it's been smoky for a while now. It's about to become smoky and hot. We'll talk about that straight ahead in my On Your Side forecast.
Don Nelson, Michelle Edmonds, Chief Meteorologist Scott Dorval. This is 6 on Your Side at 5.
You're in.
Hey, Tobe, isn't Lacey, she's going to California, right? They're not. Why? So they will have no media coverage down there. Oh, that's pretty convenient.
Now, the On Your Side forecast with meteorologist. Now, the On Your Side forecast with
Summer is definitely winding down. Kids are already in school, or at least the rest of them will be starting in the next few days.
And that means more children in roads and in crosswalks. Reporter Brandon Fonda spoke with parents and AAA Idaho who are raising awareness for safety.
Expect morning traffic to get heavier. Then again for the late afternoons. Not just with cars, but with kids on the sidewalks and in the crosswalks, on bikes or on foot, in a hurry to get to class before the bell rings. For the summer months, drivers haven't had to worry about school zones, but now these lights are flashing.
Parents that have been driving without kids on the street for the summer months need to reprogram their driving habits accordingly.
Dave also says ditch the distractions, especially with kids now in school zones.
For a period of about 30 days, the potential for crash risk involving pedestrians, particularly young children and bicyclists, goes up rather dramatically.
Parents with kids on the roads also want to send a message to drivers.
Kids are very short, and you can't always see them, especially if you have a large car.
And I noticed there was cars still driving 35, which isn't the speed limit, it's actually 20. They need to slow down because that's the safety of our children.
But keeping kids safe does not just fall to the driver behind the wheel.
We encourage parents to sit down with their kids.
What do you guys need to do before you cross the street?
Look both ways.
And if yellow flashing lights aren't a good enough reminder to slow down, you can be sure police officers will be reminding drivers as well.
It's a 20-mile-per-hour limit in those zones. If you've been blasting through there at 35 or 40, watch out, because you're going to get a ticket.
Brandon Fonda, Idaho on Your Side.
Now, the On Your Side forecast with meteorologist Adam Bierman.
All right, it's going to be another warm, smoky day as we head into tomorrow. Let's take a look at our forecast, see what we can expect, see if we can get rid of this smoke, change up the weather pattern at all. We'll start with our current conditions. It's 87 right now in Boise and in Mountain Home. The temperature is about the same as they've been here for the last few days now. A little warmer in Ontario, 91 degrees there. Twin Falls checking in at 84, and it's a comfortable 76 in McCall, 75 in Stanley and Sun Valley, with Salmon, Idaho checking in at 73 here this hour. Looking across the Pacific Northwest, you can really see the heat building off to our west. Portland up to 93 degrees. It's pretty hot for Portland, but they've been hot like that all summer. In fact, a lot of folks in the western tier of Seattle and Portland and pretty much all of this area have seen one of the hottest summers on record. It hasn't been so bad a little further east in Boise, but definitely here they've been dealing with some serious heat. Now we're seeing the repercussions of all that heat and dryness as those fires start to ignite all across the Cascades, the Blue Mountains, and of course we're downwind, so a lot of that smoke coming in toward us. Medford at 101 degrees, almost as hot as Las Vegas. How often does that happen? Cooler once you get across the Rockies, 61 in Casper. But unfortunately, that cool air is going to stay off to our east. Wind's been going pretty good today, as we expected, blowing around 15, 20 miles per hour all the way down the Treasure Valley corridor into Elmore County as well. So that is definitely making for a breezy, hot and dry afternoon. As we look across the Pacific Northwest, there's really nothing coming. We've got this very large ridge of high pressure just set up here across the Pacific Northwest. So what that means is storms are being sent way north up into British Columbia before they can finally start to shoot down and bring that cool Canadian air into the United States. So places like Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, nice and cool, 60s, 70s for highs the last few days, with ample moisture coming down along the jet stream. But we're stuck under this large blocking pattern that's keeping things very dry and very hot here across the Pacific Northwest. And unfortunately, things are going to stay like that Here's a look at our water vapor. This tells us how dry the air is, and you can see this orange is about the driest it gets. And it's setting up right across Oregon, Nevada, and again, still pushing up into Idaho as well. So we're going to keep things pretty smoky, pretty hot. Those fires probably going to keep on burning here for a while. Here's what we can expect in the Treasure Valley tomorrow. Areas of smoke, sunny and hot. 93 in Ontario, 90 for Nampa, Emmett, Boise. Mountain Home warming up to about 89 degrees. A hazy day. 94 for Vail, 93 over in Weiser, Caldwell up to 91, Meridian hitting about 90. Up in the west, Central Mountains, warmer here as well. Looking for low 80s into the Long Valley. 92 in Riggins, 91 in Council, and 91 out toward Garden Valley. Featherville should be warming up to 83. In the south central mountains, we're expecting areas of smoke. A little bit comfortable, though, temperature-wise, 78 in Stanley, 79 for Sun Valley. And as we head into the Magic Valley, we're looking for smoky conditions, sunny skies, 88 in Twin Falls, 84 in Shoshone and Burley, with gooding up to about 85. And here's our 7-day forecast now. Temperatures are going to be hot the next couple of days. We're talking low 90s, so not too out of control, but definitely warmer than it has been lately. And then a cold front shoots through Friday. That'll knock us down into the low to mid 80s for Friday and Saturday. It'll be breezy again, and then after that, the heat starts to build back in early next week with temperatures back up to about average for this time of year, around 90.
Breeze. We would like the breeze to be strong possible.
Yeah, and get the smoke out. But the problem is the fires upwind just keep bringing smoke in. We need to get those fires out.
Yeah, true. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. Donald Trump takes some time off the campaign trail while